Hello, my YouTube family. It is so good to be back. I'm so excited to show you this new stitch. It's called the bubble stitch. It's one of my favorite stitches. Along with that, I will be answering a lot of questions from previous videos. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now for more crochet fun. I've been asked several times what kind of yarn I'm using. This yarn is Mainstays yarn. It is from Walmart, but they also carry yarn B, and that is at Hobby Lobby, and it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a really, really thick yarn like this. I've also been asked in my other videos if you can use a smaller yarn. I'm sure you can, but the loops or the holes will be a lot wider, so I don't recommend it. Okay, let's get started. My last video, I had explained it as a breast cancer awareness ribbon just because it was pink, but I mean just about any kind of ribbon that you see, care ribbons just like this. So you want to just loop it so it looks like a ribbon, just like that. Then I will give it a twist, just like that. This right here is called the working yarn because it's attached to the yarn. So I'm going to get the working yarn, I'm going to pull this through, I'm gonna grab the working yarn, and I'm gonna pull it through that loop. Just pull, 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 until it's secure like this, okay? So this knot right here, this is gonna be the rhythm for the whole blanket. So you wanna make sure that it's not too big, not too small. I really don't have exact measurements. I like to keep it about an inch wide in through here. So just enough to where I can kind of squeeze my thumb in. So now that I have my slip knot, which is this right here, I am going to get my working string. Remember, this is your working string right here. And I'm going to pull through. So I'm going to stick my index finger and my thumb into this loop. I'm going to pull the working string through the loop, and I have created another little loop right here. So now I'm going to get my index finger once again and my thumb, stick it through that loop, grab my working string, and pull another loop. As you start to create more and more loops, you see how that's going? These right here are called chains. So there's chain 1, chain 2, and then I will be creating chain 3. Once again, getting my index finger and my thumb, sticking it right through. Let me show you how that looks. Grabbing it through like this and pulling through the loop. I was asked several times in my last video how long to do the chain. It really is just up to you. Just keep in mind that this is the width of the blanket. For this one, I went ahead and did 36. I am now done with my chain. I'm going to get the working yarn and I'm gonna unravel just a little bit. I'm gonna move my working yarn to the other side and I'm going to flip this around over here. So I like to always move my working yarn as I'm moving. So I went from right to left, and then now I'm going to go back to my right hand side, just like a typewriter, and then come all the way back. Okay, so I have this little loop right here. I'm going to adjust it because I'm not gonna go further with the chain. I'm just gonna adjust it toward me. I'm gonna pull that towards me. And then I am going to go under, so I'm gonna grab the working yarn right here. I'm going to go under, and right here we have our chain. So there's one right here, there's two right here, there's three right here, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to use these chains right here. I'm going to come right under this chain. So let me show you this chain right here. I'm going to go under, and I'm going to pull my working yarn through just like this. I'm going to create a loop. So that loop is going to go right next to this loop. Then I'm going to move on to my next, which is this one right here. I'm going to go under, so I'm going underneath here, and I am going to pull the working yarn through, creating another loop. So I'm now creating a series of loops. So you guessed it, going to use this right here. Just gonna come right under, grab my working yarn, and I'm going to slide that through there, pull it through, creating another loop. So I'm just creating, got a hair in there. I'm just creating a series of loops. So I'm gonna use this right here. I'm gonna go under. So let's grab that, pull that through. And I'm creating a loop. So as I move closer to my left-hand side, I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to pull it, place it on my left-hand side. And I'm just going to continue going under and pulling the loop through. So I have also been asked how many bundles I usually use. These are also referred to as skeins, and I really don't have a definite answer for it. Sometimes I will use 4 if I want to create a small blanket. Sometimes I will use 6 for about a medium-sized blanket. And I have created a king-size throw, and that I used about 8 skeins. So really, it just depends on how big you're wanting the blanket. You also want to take a look at the yards. So this one is going at about 26 yards. So I usually use a couple more if I'm using the Mainstays brand. If I'm using Yarn B from Hobby Lobby, I believe theirs is 28 yards. So I could get a little bit more out of that one. All right, so I am back to the very end. So now I am going to flip this over, move my yarn over here to the other side. And I have a series of loops, very pretty. Now I'm going to get my working yarn. I'm gonna get my let me see, let me move my camera a bit. I'm gonna get my working yarn. And as you can see, I have a loop, 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 loop. And I'm going to go underneath. So I am going to grab my working yarn, go underneath this loop using my index finger and my thumb. I'm gonna stick my fingers through that loop and pull that working yarn. So I'm just gonna pull that down a little bit. Then I am going to go to the next loop. So that one, I'm gonna go to the next loop, which is this one right here. I'm going to stick my fingers in through there and just pull through. Very, very easy. I'm doing the same thing that I just did. So I'm just pulling through, creating little loops. You wanna make them the same in size. And once again, I like to stick my thumb through. If I can stick my thumb through easily, that's okay. You don't wanna make it too big. If you make it too big, you're gonna have like holes in your blanket. It's gonna be too stretchy. So not too big, not too tight. I'm not super picky. Don't have exact measurements. I just go by feel and it works out perfectly fine. So pull through. You have that. Then I'm going to go into my next one, pull through, and you are just doing the same thing over and over. So I'm gonna move my yarn over here. Going to my next loop and pulling through. This yarn is a little, it feels like cotton, so kind of like to every once in a while go back and kind of move things around because it tends to shed a lot. You want to be mindful and cautious. This has happened to me quite a bit when I'm doing blankets and I'm just kind of, just kind of working in the mood of it and just watching TV and just, moving my fingers along. You want to be mindful to grab each and every loop. Make sure that you don't skip a loop, because if you skip a loop, you're gonna run into a problem. You're gonna have a missing loop. And then you'll have to sew it, or unravel it all, which is not fun to do. So just be mindful, go back and make sure that you have created every loop. I have also been asked several times, how long does it take you to make a blanket? That also depends on, it just depends on the blanket size. It can take me, I can do it in segments. Sometimes I'll do an hour here, an hour there. For this blanket, I'm using 6 skeins. It's gonna take me about 2 hours, about 2.5 hours. So that's pretty much basic time, 2.5 hours to 3 hours to make a blanket. I also had quite a few subscribers ask me how much I sell the blankets for. This initially started as a hobby, just a pastime thing. So I was just gifting them. I did, however, start selling them at the farmer's market at one point. and my smaller throws would go for about $65. My larger ones, I would use a lot more skeins, so they would go for about $85 to $90. Alrighty, here we are back at the end, and this is just repetitious. I mean, you just repeat everything once again. So I'm going to flip this over, move my working yarn to the other side. Now, as you can see, I'm creating the blanket. I have the loops right in through here, and I'm just going to go under and pull, under, pull through, creating the loop. And I'm just going to continue to do that all the way. I then glue the two pieces together however you can sew them. Alrighty, so here I am at the end. I ran out of yarn. I'm working at just about 6 skeins of yarn on this one. It's not as big as I want it to be. I visited every Walmart in my area, could not find this. I don't want to order, I just want to continue. So I had my son stop at Hobby Lobby to grab me some yarn bee. Right now it is $10 for a 26 yard. Of course, in your area might be a little different. 30% coupon. These are all 30% off at the moment. I'm using Showstopper Arctic Blue. I will be gluing this together, gluing the ends together as I shown previously if you want to rewind back. If not, you can hand sew it. With this material, I don't recommend it, but you can hand sew it. You can also use fabric glue, which I've done on the ends also. This works really good. Alrighty, so I am right at the very end, and the way that I know that I'm at the end is if I have just enough yarn to cover the width about 3 times. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So I know I'm just at the end of my yarn, and it's just enough to accommodate for these loops. So now these loops, the last row of loops, are gonna be slightly larger than your usual, and I'll show you why in just a bit. But you want to make sure, I mentioned you want it to be like thumb length. You want to make sure that you're doing about maybe two thumbs in there. So I would say about 1.5 inches maybe. So you want your loop to be bigger in size. So I'm going to go in just as I normally do, but I am going to make the loop larger in size. So I'm going to go on ahead and do that on my last row. Alrighty, so here I am at the end, and now I am going to stick my fingers in between this glue, just like this. can see I'm sticking my fingers in between the loop, and then I'm going to grab the other loop right beside it. I'm going to pinch the loop and then pull it over, just like that. Let me get a little closer so you can see. So I'm just going to kind of crisscross it, grab this, pinch it, and then pull it through. So now I have just this one over. I'm going to open it up, go to the one right beside it, pinch it, cross it over. So I'm gonna let it lay flat like that. I'm gonna open up this one. Come to the loop right beside it. Pinch it and cross it over. So it starts to kind of lay flat, just like this, like a braid. Open it up. Open it up. Grab the one right beside it, pinch it, and fold it over. You'll just do that all the way through. Open it up, grab the one beside it, and you're just gonna slide it in through. Very easy. I'm gonna do that all the way through. Alrighty, so right at the end, I'm just going to cut what's left here. And for this one, I am using the fabric adhesive. Just gonna get some fabric glue and then just press down the ends. Now this fabric glue takes a long time to dry, so I'm just gonna press it down and then leave it overnight to dry. Okay, I let the ends dry overnight and they dried beautifully. I was even kind of tugging at it a little bit to make sure that it was secure, and they just dried beautifully. So now I am going to, this is optional, I like to do this, I buy these at Walmart, and I just threaded my needle. I'm just gonna go in and hand sew the finishing touches. You don't have to do this. This is just a little something that I like to do. It kind of completes the blanket and all of your hard work. So I'm just gonna go in and sew this. A big thanks for watching and supporting creativity. I hope you learned something new today, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.